All right, what is up, guys? What is up? We are just starting this live stream on a Friday afternoon. Let me know who is out there. We are talking job search. We're live streaming on TikTok. I also got X, YouTube, and Twitch running. So go ahead, say hi. Would love to hear from you guys. Say hi in the chat. And for any of you guys who are on, let's do this like multi-world or multi-platform thing. Let's see here. Give me 1 second here. I don't know why this is doing this on TikTok. Hold on. This is a fail right now on TikTok. I don't know why the camera is doing this super weird. But look, I'm live on TikTok. Once I can figure it out, hold on. Let me. I'm gonna go live again. I don't know what is up with that. All right, there we go. It's countdown. We are live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube, Twitch, X. People still call it X. What do people call it? But yeah, we're live on a bunch of platforms. So basically, for any of you guys that don't know me, I've been in recruitment for about a decade and really just here to help you guys with the job search. So if you got questions, if you got questions on where to find jobs, LinkedIn, Indeed, wherever you're looking for jobs, here to help. If you got questions on recruitment, branding, any of that stuff too, get in the chat. Like I said, we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and we are live on TikTok as well. You know, sometimes I share like that I'm live on other platforms on TikTok, and then they ban the session. But if you guys don't know who I am, I've been in recruitment for about a decade. Specialize in recruiting basically non-tech talent, and I just opened up an agency about a month ago. So I was doing a lot of media stuff this past year and just opened up a recruitment wing to our business. And we're focusing on the construction industry. So if you're in construction, would love to hear from you. Will on TikTok said TGIF. I would agree. I think TGIY. That's what I say. You know, thank God the year is over because it's been a tough year in 2024. Any of you guys know, any of you guys who follow any of my content know, it's been a brutal job market for people on the job search. So let me know in the chat, whether you're on X, Twitch, YouTube, or TikTok, let me know in the chat, what types of jobs you're looking for. Pam on TikTok said, been looking for a job since March, enterprise account executive, supply chain. So if you're a recruiter and you're looking for an enterprise account executive that specializes in supply chain, get a hold of Pam on TikTok. If you guys can, on any platform, wherever you're at, like this live, share this live with someone who needs help. And again, if you guys have questions on the job search, here to help. So we got Riley as well on TikTok. Riley, good to see you. If you guys don't follow Riley over on TikTok, definitely follow Riley. Riley puts a ton of live shows out. He's also a recruiter, really good guy, puts out a lot of really good content. But let me know who's out there. Get in the chat. Say hi if you can. And then if you got questions, doesn't matter whether it's questions working with, a recruiter, working with hiring managers, if you're interviewing, whatever kind of questions you have, feel free to get in the chat and ask those questions. And again, we're going live on multiple channels right now. There we go. That's the TikTok feed. I don't know. Like I go live through StreamYard. If anybody knows a platform where I can go live on TikTok as well, let me know. Maybe I should just go live on. LinkedIn as well. All right. So we're getting some questions here. We got on TikTok. Kevin said, I've been laid off since June 2024, getting interviews, but no offers. Okay. So if you're getting interviews, that's a good thing. Okay. That means your resume is in a good spot. It means you don't really want to mess with your resume because you're getting interviews. Now what you need to do is look at where in the interview process are things breaking down. Like, is it in the interviews, like the screening call, interviews with the hiring managers, maybe you get in the final round and just not getting the offer. You need to break it down. Where are things, where are things falling apart? And then what my advice would be is, like, if you're getting in interview situations, particularly if they're, you know, online interviews, which a lot of them are nowadays. Um, Jesse, I don't know Jesse, where are you on? You're on X. Said, "Hey Joel, your setup has improved since the last time I saw you." Yeah, upgraded the setup. I got a light now from this is from Etsy. Shout out to Etsy. Um, but yeah, basically what I would do is I would record those interviews. So if it's like a Zoom interview, just record yourself. Get your iPhone out or your Android and just record what you're saying and how you're replying to answers. That'd be the first thing I would do, and just like try and analyze, like, how are you answering questions? Could I answer questions better? Maybe I'm rambling on. Um, so that's what I would do. And then someone said, any advice to laid off finance people? Look, my advice is pretty much similar, no matter what situation you're in. I think right now in this market, you've got to apply to more jobs than you think you need to apply to. So we're seeing about a 1 to 3% response rate. And I know sometimes people are like, whoa, quality over quantity. For sure. You got to keep the quality of positions you apply to high, but you also need to keep the volume, because a lot of companies don't really say where they're at in the interview process when they post a job. So if you apply to a job, you have zero idea whether or not that job is active, whether they're on final interviews. You don't really know. So you got to apply to a lot of these jobs. Next thing you need to do, look at your network. And I hear people throw out networking all the time. Here's what networking looks like: reaching out to people you worked with. So coworkers, bosses, vendors, anybody you had contact with, reaching out to them, trying to set up a conversation with them. And then within that conversation, asking them, hey, do you know of any opportunities? Do you have any opportunities at your company? So reaching out to people you know. And what I found is, number one, when you're reaching out to people, you got to reach out to people at least like 2, 3 times. No, a lot of people won't respond after one message. And then people go, oh, I don't want to bug people. Look, if someone's in your network and they care about you, they're going to want to help you. So really, really tap into that network, and then find networking groups. So for finance, marketing, sales, HR, there's going to be associations. So look for those associations, or look for those groups. A lot of them will have like an online chat, whether that's on Slack or Discord. Get involved in those. And so if you're completely laid off and you have time, you need to be applying to jobs and then networking. I'd probably split the time, 60-40. But let me know out there. I know that we got other recruiters out there. Obviously, Jesse's out there. Jesse is Canadian recruiter. Any other recruiters out there, let me know. Someone just said advice for sales in software tech. I mean, look, my advice is always the same. You got to apply to a lot of the jobs. They got to be the right jobs that you're qualified for, and you got to network. And then you got to be realistic with yourself. There are tougher situations than other. So if you are currently have a job and you're looking for a new job in your field, that's the easiest of all situations. Once you lose your job and you get laid off, it's just going to get harder, especially if you advertise that. It's going to get harder because HR people, recruitment people, they have been sold a lot of the time that people who have jobs are better than people who don't have jobs. Tough, brutal fact. So if you're in that situation, you've got to think about, it's going to be harder. So I got to apply to more jobs. And then you just have to have a good story. Now, what I've seen people do, which I think is helpful on resumes, specify what happened. So let's say if you were working at a finance startup, then say, we're a Series C startup and we had layoffs, right? Explain the situation on the resume, or if it was a contract role, put in parentheses, contract role. Like, give some definition as to why you're looking for a job as well. Jesse said, every job I've had since 2004, I earned by reaching out to someone I already know. Yeah, which like, look, you got to be careful here, Jesse, and anyone else who is giving this advice. I think if you can reach out to people and get a referral, for sure you're gonna maybe get some more interviews without a doubt. But with that being said, I talked to enough internal recruiters to know if you apply for a job and you're genuinely qualified for it, there's always going to be a chance you get the conversation. I know a lot of times people go, wow, there's thousands of people applying. We can all admit, any recruiters on here can admit that a bulk of people who apply for jobs are not even qualified. Like if you put a location requirement, let's say the location requirement is the US, you're still going to get a bunch of people from India applying. So, but if you're genuinely qualified for the job and you apply and people look at your background and you're qualified for it, you're going to have a chance. There's no doubt in that. So I think what happens is, though, is people experience something. So Jesse might go, oh, well, every job that I've got has come from a referral. Thus, every job that anyone gets comes from referrals. And that's not the truth. With that being said, referrals is still a There we go. Can you hear me now, Jesse? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now on X? Let me know. If you're on X, YouTube, or Twitch, get in the chat. Let me know. Jesse, good to see you, by the way. We got Tom in here as well. Tom Grodowski is a recruiter. Get a hold of Tom Grodowski as well. And guys, look, do me a favor. If you are a recruiter and you are recruiting on any type of position, please just say what type of roles you're recruiting on. Let's make some connections. It's out again. Jeez, dude. Twitter. Hold on. Hello, hello. No, it's not out. It's not out. It is not out again. If it's out again, there's nothing I can do. But I'm glad that TikTok can hear me anyway. All right, Jesse, that was your problem. It's not my problem. But let me know who's out there. If you're on X, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, let me know. And my goal is I want to go live like every day. For any of you guys who don't know, I've been in recruitment for coming up to a decade. I got a platform of almost 1 million people, which it's kind of amazing when you think about it. All I do is talk about job search and how terrible corporate is, and we got a bunch of followers, which is cool. But I'm also here because I get I get a ton of people who are reaching out to me on DMs, and I just can't answer every single DM. So if you ever had a question on a job search, that's what these sessions are for. I said work time. I'm obviously not doing any work right now except here. So get in a chat. Let me let me know what questions you have. Just me, the Flash. Thanks for following me on TikTok. That means a lot. Someone said I paid $2K in child support per month. Look, I can't help you out with that. I mean, if I think you're paying child support like that, unfortunately, I don't have the power to go back in time and help you with that. I mean, I'm sure you love your kids, so good. That's good. Anyway, let me know what questions you have. If you're on the job search, let me know what type of job you're looking for. We got recruiters in the chat. I can see on YouTube, Twitch, and X, we got about 45 people live on those platforms. We got about 20 to 30 people live on TikTok as well. So if you got questions, let me know. Happy to help you out. And then if you haven't checked out any of my resources, go to any of those profiles. You will see links to my link tree, and there's a bunch of resources on there. Would love to know from you guys. Have any of you guys tried auto apply? What are your guys' thoughts on auto apply? There's a company I work with called Use Massive, which is in my profile. I really like the tool if you use it the right way, but would love to know from you guys. Papar 911 on they are on TikTok said I had a conversation with someone pretending to be you with the same username. Okay, yeah, look, people pretend to be me online, and to me, that is the saddest thing ever because I don't even wanna be me. I don't know why anyone else would wanna be me. But yeah, if I'm asking you to join a Telegram or asking you for money, that's not me, okay? This is the channel. I've tried to get verified on TikTok, but they don't wanna verify me. I'm not important enough, okay? I'm not important. Yeah, I know, they ask for money. Don't ever give money to people. Don't ever give money to me. That's what my rule would be. How can you recover after being fired? Any tips? Yeah, I mean, look, I think we got to differentiate, right? Were you fired? Were you laid off? I think if you were fired and it was to do with performance, number one, I'd be looking like, is that genuinely to do with your performance? Because sometimes companies set goals which are just unattainable. You don't meet them and then they fire you. So I think you got to look at your situation and go, is this like a me thing? Is this something that I can improve? And then if you are yeah, so if you got fired for your actual performance, then you gotta look at, is that were the KPIs realistic? Was it a realistic goal that they set you? And then how can you get better? And then you maybe just need to look at, like, is this actually a good fit for me? So let's say you have 3 jobs in a row and you get fired from all of them for performance. That might just be an indicator that maybe that's not the right field for you. I think in terms of how you answer that in interviews, I wouldn't lead with that. And I would probably this is kinda one of those, like, I guess, lies. Like, I probably wouldn't tell people that you got fired. You know, that like, if someone said, "Why did you leave your last job?" I would just say something about the culture or the mission. And but again, like, you gotta weigh it up. Like, are you genuinely not good at your job, or did they just set goals which were high and they were looking to get rid of you? Which that can happen. Like, I talk about this a lot. Like, I've seen people go on PIPs, which are, like, performance improvement plans, and, like, I just had someone recently that I met with, and he was in, like, some sort of, like, high level finance position, and they were looking to get rid of him, so they put him on a PIP, and then they gave him, like, unattainable goals. So Liz, who was asking this question, said I wasn't even given a PIP. To me, they were just looking to get rid of you, so I would just say, "Hey, it wasn't a good fit," and, but I tried to bring it up in one of my goals with my manager, and she was dismissive. Okay, so in your situation, I would just say, "I got laid off, there was a riff." I would put that in parentheses on your resume, and then if it comes up, that's what I would say. Advice on good job boards other than LinkedIn. Look, I think LinkedIn's decent because a lot of people do use LinkedIn for those corporate positions, and Indeed. Those are the top 2. And anybody else can answer on any of these platforms if you're a recruiter. The top 2 platforms that recruiters are using are LinkedIn and Indeed. Here's what I would do though. I would source so I'd find open jobs on LinkedIn and Indeed, and then I would go to the website, the company website, and I would apply on the company website every time. So almost use like LinkedIn, Indeed, all these other platforms as a way to find open jobs, but I would go to the company website and apply directly. But if I said laid off, would that be still kind of look, everybody lies, okay? Like there's levels to lying, all right? Let's say if you said you're a VP of sales and you've never been a VP of sales, that's a straight up lie. If someone asks you how many other places are you interviewing, and then you say, I'm not interviewing anywhere else, but you are interviewing anywhere else. I mean, there's levels to it, all right? And like I'm about being transparent with people, but also like let's say you're not interviewing anywhere else, that could be a red flag for it. I've heard employers see that as a red flag. Like no one else wants this person. You know, maybe you've been on a really tough long job search. If you get an interview, you probably don't want to tell them that you've been on a long job search, right? You want to say, "Hey, yeah, I've got other companies interested in me." So, look, it is lying, and I guess that could be like a character thing. But you know what? I'm a recruiter, and I promise you, a lot of recruiters out there are telling plenty of lies. Let's just be honest here. Hey, we got a great culture. Really? Hey, we promote from within. I mean, it's kind of the nature of business, right? Like it's people are telling you what you want to hear. That's a whole thing. So you got to do that as a job seeker, right? If you want the job, sometimes you need to, you need to make it favorable in your situation. So anybody anybody have any thoughts on that? That's probably like a contentious point, I'm sure, but let me know. What do you think about that? Is it okay to lie? And then I guess where I would draw the line with lying is if you're completely making stuff up. But yeah, someone just pointed here, like it's basically two people. Look, guys, let's face it right now. When people say things like, "Yeah, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" All right, like how do you answer that honestly? Like no one sees themselves at that same company in 5 years. How could you even see yourself at a company for 5 years? You haven't even worked there one day. But what do they want to hear? Well, yeah, I see myself working at your company, helping you succeed. I see myself progressing in the ranks. How do you even know that? You never worked there a day in your life. So there's right answers and there's wrong answers in the interview. And what I found is like people, even on the interview side, there's not really that many trained interviewers. Most people are probably just going to ChatGPT and going, "Hey, give me interview questions for X role." I guarantee you that's what people are doing. But let me know, guys, if you're joining us live. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, X. Let me know. Say hi. So far, Jesse's the only person that said hi on X. But I know I got 50 plus people on those channels. So let me know who's out there. Steven said perception is reality as it pertains to most things, including lying. When background checks for jobs are done, will it show that I was fired? That's a good question. Does anyone know the answer to that? I'm not in HR, so that's not really my specialty, but I'm not sure whether it would say that. I don't know. That's a good question. I think it just shows employment dates, but anybody know? Do background checks show that you're fired? If it does show that you're fired, then you probably wanna tell the truth. Well, exactly. So that's a good point, right? Like if you call people to do a reference, like you can't ask certain questions, they can't give certain information. Again, that's not really my look. I'm agency recruiter, so we bend the rules all the time, but um someone said references, LOL, what a waste of time. Um, you look, I actually, I'm working with a company right now, which I think is really interesting, which I would love to get your take on. They are doing social scoring. So basically, what they will do is a character assessment, and they take who you've worked on LinkedIn. So it looks at like who your past coworkers, your past bosses, and they get a character assessment for you. Which I think is actually really smart because 99% of the time it shows that you're a good employee. But that 1 to 2% of people who are actually bad employees, it shows that they're a bad employee. So let me know what you think about that. The whole hire for character, train for skill, or hire for attitude, train for skill could be a reality. I'm actually excited about that. But Tony on TikTok said, has the market picked up yet? Short answer, kind of. Long answer, probably not. I would say there hasn't been like a major pickup, and we're about to get into the holiday season where for a lot of companies things do slow down. Some companies, oh, they need to make hires. So I wouldn't say we've seen like a big pickup yet. And then if you go to LinkedIn, and this is what I always do, like I'm always trying to pay attention to like the news on LinkedIn, even though LinkedIn is it's kind of a goon platform. That's why I'm not live on there right now. No, I love LinkedIn. But today I heard about GM is cutting about 1,000 jobs. Boeing is starting to do layoffs. In fact, I just got a message from somebody on LinkedIn that said, "Hey Joel, hope you're well. I'm unfortunately part of the recent Boeing layoffs." So somebody just got laid off from Boeing there as well. And then there was, I think, is it Advanced Auto Parts? They're getting ready to do layoffs as well. So I think I think people are more optimistic right now, but I wouldn't say things have picked up before the end of the year. So let me know out there. Jesse, what are you seeing? Any recruiters out there? I know there's some recruiters. Let me know. Um, okay, Liz, who got laid off or fired, I should say fired. I have 3 phone screenings next week, and I'm anxious about telling them about my situation. Liz, look, here's my thing. If people ask you, you could tell them what you want to tell them. I would probably say, Hey, we got some good news here. Amaret said that market's picked up. Any other recruiters out there seeing the market pick up? Would love to hear from them. But Liz said have 3 phone screenings. So what I would do is look, if someone asks you a question, they're not gonna here's what they're likely gonna ask you, like, what happened in your last role, or like, why are you looking? I'd be cautious about saying it was a performance issue and I got fired. I'd be cautious about saying that, but maybe you test it on one, and then maybe you test it on 2 of them where you don't say that and see what happens. I would also, because here's the thing, like, it sounds like you just had a bad environment, and again, this is one of those things that you don't say in a, if you're in an interview situation, you never tell people, "Oh, it's super toxic," right? Like, you don't say that stuff, like, it's just bad-mouthing your old employer. So, I'd be careful about saying that. Tony said, "I think the market is stale, but I get shout outs for jobs here and there." Okay, fair enough. John, Jenna again, I've been looking for a role for about a year, not sure what I'm doing wrong. Okay, so if anybody is out there and you've been looking for a job for a year, there's a couple things you need to look at. Number one, are you applying the jobs and getting interviews? If you're applying for jobs and getting interviews, it's likely there's not that much wrong with your resume. You're in a good spot. If you are getting to the phone screening place and you get a lot of phone screens and you're not progressing, there's something going on in the phone screen. And then you rinse and repeat through each stage. The only time I think that you probably don't have to worry that much, and it's just more of a case of time, is if you get into the final interview stage. If you get into the final interview stage time and time again, that means you're basically doing everything right. And it might just come down to something menial, like maybe there's other people with the same experience, a better experience, asking for less. And I will say, in general, the market is just more competitive. Like, I'm sure if I asked on this TikTok chat, put a Y in the chat if you're looking for a job. YouTube, Twitch, X, put a Y in the chat if you're looking for a job. We're going to see a lot more people looking for jobs right now. So, it's like you could do pretty much everything right. But again, if you are not getting interviews and you're applying to thousands of jobs, 2 things going on. Either you just have a really, really poor resume, or you're applying to jobs you're not qualified for. And the whole qualification thing, what I found is that most candidates think they're more qualified than hiring managers think they are. So, like, you might think you're really qualified. I don't really care what you think. Do hiring managers think you're qualified? And the most qualified person, because there's levels, right? You got overqualified, qualified, and not qualified. Overqualified is like you're basically applying for a step down or a job that is like less scale than you have right now. So let's say I was working at um, like a massive tech company, and then I went to go work at a startup. They might say, "Hey, you're overqualified." Or if I was looking for a job and I'm a VP of sales and I'm going for a BDR and SDR job, I'm overqualified. Okay, so that's overqualified. Or maybe you're asking for too much money, or maybe you're old and they're just ageist. Lots of stuff going in overqualified. Qualified is like a really small window for hiring managers. And this is what makes the staffing industry and the recruitment industry billions of dollars right here. People who are doing the job at a competitor, those are the most qualified people. So if you ever want to know if you're qualified, go, do I have experience working at a competitor, and have I done the same job? If you say no to that, then in the eyes of most hiring managers, you're not qualified. And how do I know this? Because as a agency recruiter, this is how we make our money. So for example, if I was working at a Series B tech startup and they want a software engineer, and let's say it's in fintech, guess who they're going after? Other software engineers that are working at Series B funded or Series C fintech startups for software engineers. Those are like the ideal candidates. Now, the reason that the staffing agency world makes so much money from this particular type of hire is because this is also the least popular move for anybody. It's called a lateral move. So people who are in a job, they're looking for 2 things. They're looking for more money or a promotion, and ideally both. So as a recruiter, I might reach out and go, "Hey, I've got the same position, but we could pay you more." Okay, you're probably willing to have a conversation. Or maybe they're really mad at their boss and they don't like their boss. they're willing to have a conversation. So that's the qualified candidate. The most qualified candidate for any position is somebody who's doing the exact same job at a similar company. And then you have underqualified, where it's like you look through the role, and on a job description, they're asking for 10 years and you got 3 years. They're asking for international experience and you got national experience. So you have to look at yourself and you seriously have to say, based on the job description, based on the qualifications, do I meet 70 to 80% of those requirements? And I would say at 70 to 80%, you're probably qualified. So if they're asking for 10 years experience and you have 8 years experience, okay, maybe that's not fully qualified. If they're asking for, whatever, HubSpot experience and you don't have HubSpot experience, that's another notch against you. So you kind of have to look down the list. And most people don't do that. So, all right, we got a hiring manager here on TikTok. Why aren't you working, hiring manager? Just kidding. But hiring manager said, hiring manager, don't waste your time. If you're a mediocre worker, I'll fire you instantly. Gotta love the TikTok comments. You're a mediocre worker, okay? You're on TikTok on a Friday afternoon. Get back to work. How do you feel about the remote work field? Is it in decline? Yeah, remote work is absolutely in decline. No doubt about that. You've got a lot more companies forcing people back to the office. I would say most are a hybrid right now, but you got some ballsy ones like Amazon. They're pretty ballsy right now, right? You got to be back to the office 5 days a week. But look, Amazon, big tech always leads the field with this stuff. So if big tech does something, the smaller tech companies are either like, actually, we'll stay fully remote and we'll take your candidates and we'll pay them less, but we'll give them fully remote work. So there's a toss up there. But I would say like most companies are at least hybrid. But hybrid is basically in the office. I mean, let's be honest here, because the reason that remote work is so powerful is because it allows you to hire people from anywhere. And it also means you can work from anywhere, right? So the talent pool widens. Right now, most companies don't have a problem with finding more people. Like I talk to recruiters every single day. I talk to talent leaders every single day. And the number one problem they have is more applicants than they can handle. It's not finding people. There's exceptions in that rule as well. Like there's always going to be roles which are harder to fill than others. And like when you get thousands of people applying, that creates a different set of problems. So when you even look at the AI landscape with recruiting tools, right now, one of the tools that's really, really taking steam is like AI chatbots and AI voice tools that can have a screening call. So for example, if you're Amazon and you have a position that has 1,000 applicants, you can now do a phone screen with AI and screen every single candidate. Then you take the information on the resume and that phone screen, and you can get like a short list of the top candidates, right? Probably the biggest issue there is like at what point is AI making a decision, but it's probably going to rank it on like who's the closest match based on the resume and that call. So that's the problem that companies have right now. Easy way to solve that problem. Hey, let's just make it, you got to be in the office. Even if you have to be in the office 1 day a week, you suddenly take a national talent pool and you squeeze it into a local talent pool. My whole hypothesis and theory is as soon as it gets harder to recruit, so as soon as companies find it hard to recruit top talent, I anticipate that remote work will come back because it immediately widens the talent pool. And I'd also argue that companies don't care about your work-life balance. They don't care about like your life. The reason that remote work stayed around as long as it did is because candidates that were hard to find in 2021 during the Great Resignation, number one question they asked, is this position remote? I don't think you could hire people in 2021 without remote work option. I would argue the only way you could possibly do that would be like paying people a lot of money or finding that like 2 to 5% of people that want to work in the office 5 days a week. And I've done these surveys on LinkedIn where I get hundreds of thousands of people respond. Most people do not want to work in the office 5 days a week. I think the majority of people are fully remote or hybrid, right? Like, hey, I'll go to the office a couple days a week, but I want to be home some of the time as well. And funnily enough, the people that want to work at home the most are people like me who have kids because childcare is just expensive and it's just easier to be around and it gives you that kind of more time with your family and stuff. Younger people without kids, they want to go to the office. and old people who are bored, they want to go to the office too. It's like that middle group of people. They don't want to go to the office. They don't want to commute, right? So let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know if you're on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, or X, whatever it's called. Let me know. Remote work, hybrid, where are you leaning? And TikTok, let me know. Are you remote, fully remote, hybrid? What's your preference? Emirates said, I posted a job and had 90 applicants in one day. That's, I mean, 90 applicants, that's weak. You need to get like thousands of applicants. I posted a job on LinkedIn and I got like 1,000 applicants in one day. It was a project manager position and it was for construction, but everyone thought it was IT. So I got a bunch of IT project managers, which kind of reinforces the fact that most people who apply for jobs aren't really a fit. But guys, look, I'm live on multiple platforms. We're on YouTube, Twitch, and X. If you got questions on job search, get in there, ask those questions. RP, I'm doing well. Would love to hear from you guys. And if you guys haven't checked it out, go to www.TheRealestRecruiter.com. I got my podcast on there. Got a bunch of resources as well. How do I filter resumes? Well, me personally, I am a headhunter, meaning I don't really post jobs that much. I can tell you how most companies filter resumes. They use they'll basically filter on location. That's a big one, right? So if you are hiring for a position in Chicago and it's hybrid, then you're going to put location and that's going to be a filter. Companies filter by education. They'll use keywords as far as the tech that you need. And then years of experience, those types of things they'll filter for. So that's how most companies are doing it. And the AI is pretty smart where it can look at and here's the thing, I think the challenge that companies are hiring right now is you guys as job seekers are getting better with resumes because AI is helping with the resumes. But yeah, no, the tools they're going to use are it's an ATS. And ATS, you can filter by location, job title, keywords, and then it's people who match it the closest based on what you enter, they're going to show up first. So it's just like on LinkedIn. Like on LinkedIn, if you guys have never seen LinkedIn Recruiter, you put in your keywords, locations, job titles, and it's going to pull up people that match what you've entered, and whatever, and so if I'm US only, anybody who's not in the US is going to get filtered out. If they need a degree, which some companies still have degree requirements, then you're going to get filtered out if you don't have that degree on your resume. Tech sales for Prime Bond said, looking for hybrid for SDR role in tech industry for cloud, SaaS, and AI. Where are you located, tech sales? I feel companies are taking remote to the Philippines. Yeah, look, there's a lot more outsourcing. I actually think that AI is probably going to replace a lot of the outsourcing because I don't think outsourcing is that effective. And I think AI could do it better. Let's ask you a serious question. Would you rather speak to somebody in India or the Philippines or AI? I'm I don't really care either one. They both are not talking to somebody in the home country, in my personal opinion. It's just how it is. I call City. I'm with City, and it's every single time they transfer me to India, and it's just so bad every time. I hate to say it. I love Indians, I really do, but I'll be I get on there and they're like, "Hey, kid, want to help you?" And I'm like, dude, I'd rather talk to AI at that point. So I think a lot more companies will use AI, and AI doesn't have an attitude. It's easy to understand. You might have to repeat yourself, but anyway, that's what I think is going to happen. All that outsourcing, they're going to bring it back home, and it's going to be AI. It's just how it is. Unless you're maybe a staffing company but I mean, you guys have been hit up on LinkedIn by people overseas. Their messages are terrible usually. I think it's to do more with companies wanting to pay pennies on a dollar for outsourcing. Yeah, but that's why I think AI will be cheaper than outsourcing. Yeah, and with AI you get what you pay for, right? So all right, guys. Well, look, it's cool to chat with you guys on all these platforms. Appreciate all of you. We got about 100 or so people live across platforms. If you guys haven't gone to www.TheRealestRecruiter.com, go there. I got my podcast on there. The podcast is relaunching the first of the year. I'm going to try and get a lot of recruitment leaders that are upcoming. So if you're a recruiter leader, you're internal recruiters, so I don't care about agency. I'm not trying to highlight other agencies. If you're a VP director of talent at a company, get a hold of me. Would love to get you on the podcast. We got an audience of almost 1 million now, which is amazing across platforms. If that's you, get a hold of me. If you're looking for a job, feel free to look at my resources. Go to the link tree on any of these pages. You'll see all my resources. Feel free to take a look at what I offer. I've got a one-on-one session there if you want to get together, if you want to chat through the job search. But appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend. We'll be live again Monday for the daily job search help. And maybe we'll go live on LinkedIn too, just to see if we get more people. But appreciate all of you guys. Have a good one. We will talk soon. I'm going to end the stream right now on YouTube, Twitch, and X.